Oh yeah, now this is the Kamala Harris I know and love. What's going on, America? Welcome to Kevin's Corner, where I try to make some sense out of nonsense. Before we get into this video, I need y'all to do me a favor. Hit that like button, share my videos. Please make sure you subscribe. Make sure your notification buttons are turned on to all. Subscribe to my alternative channel, just in case YouTube give me the slip or something. You'll know how to find me. Don't forget to check me out with all the podcasts and follow me on Rumble in the Jungle. All the links are listed below. If you want to donate to my channel, feel free. Those links are below as well. Now, with no further ado,
welcome to my party, we're just getting started.
What's going on, America? Kev from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And Kamala Harris messed around and decided to go out and do a local interview. And it appears that that whole acting performance that she put on during the debate with Trump was just that. It was acting. So now we have a chance to catch her for about 11 minutes or so, try to duplicate that performance, but she doesn't look as confident for some reason. So let's check out this interview and see if it lines up with her confidence the other night. You know, perhaps, reasons why she was confident. Maybe she knew that, what the questions were. Maybe she had rehearsed all those responses and things like that. Just had them, ready to go out because she knew it was coming. But it looks like, though, she's just recycling some stuff and she ain't even confident in this. So let's go ahead and check it out and respond to it.
All good? Okay.
Oh, she don't look confident.
Okay,
she look concerned.
Good.
Her buddies aren't there.
Madam Vice President, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for your time today.
Hi.
Our audience appreciates your time as well.
Of course.
As you know, we're sitting here in a state and arguably in front of an audience that 54 days from now could decide the outcome of this presidential election.
Yeah.
You hear it more than I do. People want to know more about you and about your specific plans. At the debate the other night, you talked about creating an opportunity economy.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we can drill down on that a little bit. When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, but a lot of people will relate to this. I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn.
Are y'all following that? First of all, does this not sound familiar? The other day during the debate, she said the same thing. Started off, I grew up in a middle-class family, and then she goes off into, all the people in her neighborhood and her hard-working mom. And, a lot of people can relate to it. That's the whole point. You're trying to create this story and talk about your past so people can find you relatable. So therefore, they won't stop and say, wait a minute, this person right now that's so-called in the White House and in power have, implemented policies that made her unrelatable. See, it doesn't affect her. All the stuff that we as citizens are dealing with financially and all that stuff, it don't affect her. So she got to go back to when she was a kid growing up and try to create this backstory to let everybody know, I feel y'all. However, the backstory is not only designed to make her appear to be relatable, but it's also designed to distract you from the fact that she's not addressing the question. What is she talking about? Folks got nice lawn and all of that stuff. We're now seeing the real chameleon Kamala Harris. She done went and chopped up that salad. Yep, dropping us a word salad right now. So now we got to hear about her growing up. We got to hear about people with the lawn. And she's getting exposed. Yeah, man, that was all a performance the other day. And it appears they ain't got no acting coach on the set this time. Look at that.
And, and I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that we as Americans have a beautiful character. We have ambitions and aspirations and dreams, but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions. So when I talk about building an opportunity economy, it is very much with the mind of investing in the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people. And
What does that mean? Just because you're doing a lot of this with your hands and all of this stuff, and when I talk about, it's almost like when she was talking about, and when I talk about the passage of time, the passage of time is when time passes, and when you are not focused on time, then time can run away from you because time does fly. So in conclusion, the passage of time, all she's doing is recycling talking points and saying things that sound warm and fluffy, but gives no real detail on what the heck she's talking about and how she's going to implement it. And she's not even explaining what that means when it comes down to American people and what they invest in and what they believe in. Everybody's different. So what she's doing is saying something very general and hoping that all Americans could fill in the blanks. Just fill in the blanks. But this man asked her specifically, can you go ahead and drill down on that?
creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business. My mother, worked long hours, and our neighbor helped raise us. We used to call her, I still call her, our second mother.
What that got to
She
do
was a
with
small
this?
business owner. I love our small business owners. I learned who they are from my childhood, and she was a community leader. She hired locally. She mentored. Our small businesses are so much a part of the fabric of our communities, not to mention, really, I think, the backbone of America's economy.
Running out the clock. That's all she's doing right now, is trying to run out the clock with childhood stories and word salad. That's all she's doing. It's a shame. And I hope that people don't get caught up on that performance that she put on, a couple days ago. They need to see this. This is the real Kamala. Now, all she's doing right now is repeating what they told her to repeat the other day, but she don't have, no support network. So you can tell she's nervous while she's talking. She's sitting there processing, trying to come up with something, aside from the real answer. Come up with something aside from addressing the question that the man asked. Always drifting off into word salad so that she can distract folks and try to make them go somewhere fuzzy in their head. And I'm saying, we don't want to know about all that, the childhood stuff and the tax credit. What if people aren't trying to open up businesses? How do you grow the economy? How do you address the concerns of people who don't have children, don't need the tax credit for kids, don't want to open up a business, ain't trying to buy a house, but just want more money in their pocket?
So my opportunity economy plan includes
An opportunity.
giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction to start their small business. It used to be $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. But investing in people's innovative ideas and giving them the ability to go for it.
What are the requirements for the loan? What if you get turned down? That's my question. I mean, do you need credit? I mean, it's just anybody that could come up there and just say, I want a loan because Kamala Harris said that we should be able to get a loan. It's an opportunity loan. I mean, I'm sure there are requirements. Banks aren't just going to drop that out there and say, there you go. I'm sure there's going to be requirements that the bank have that might prevent people from getting that opportunity, but she ain't going to tell y'all that. She wants people to think that everybody who goes and says, I want to start a business, no matter how crazy the business sound, how raggedy, how much the business might be, a stupid idea, you're going to get it under her policies.
Opportunity economy means, look, we don't have enough housing in America. We have a housing supply shortage. And what that means, in particular for so many younger Americans, the American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable.
But it is attainable for illegal immigrants. Yeah, that's what it is attainable for, who's getting housing and shelter and stuff, according to the left, according to Democrats. She's cool with that. You know what is attainable? Based on some of her policies, well, if you're, a person from another country, you come here and you get detained and you want to go through transition, you feel like you got something going on the inside. She want taxpayers to go ahead and pay for that. And there you go. Those things are attainable for folks coming from other countries, but now she's talking about that. It's just not attainable. But here's my other question. Why isn't it attainable? You guys are in office. I thought Bidenomics was working.
So part of my plan is to work with the private sector and housing developers to give them a tax credit, to be able to partner with us as the government, to build, and my goal is 3 million new homes by the end of my first term. In addition, to help people who just want to get their foot in the door, literally. And so giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance to be able to just get in the door, and then they will do the work that they need to do to save and to pay that mortgage and to build wealth for themselves and their family. These are some examples of what I mean when I talk about an opportunity economy, and a lot of it has to do with just the community I was raised in and the people that I admired, who work hard, and deserve to have, their dreams fulfilled because they're prepared to work for it.
Well, that sounds good and all. However, what about all the rest of us who don't want to buy a home? I mean, she said 3 million homes. What about the rest of all of the millions and millions of Americans who aren't in the market to purchase a home, but they're in a job that's not paying enough, and they're going, man, I just want money to be able to buy a car. I want more money in my pocket to be able to buy a car or something like that. She's just talking about certain cases or certain, things that she want to focus on, but she's leaving out the rest. Leaving out the rest. And not even talking about who's going to pay for all of that if it is implemented. She can't just give out $25,000 here and there and nobody pays for it. So somebody's going to pay for it. Who's going to be on the hook if people can't pay it back? I mean, it's ridiculous. So that guy let that slide. And you could tell the whole time she was concerned, nervous. She's not confident in what she's talking about. Do you want somebody like this out there? This is the real Kamala right there. This is the real one. Let's see if she does better on the next question.
You talked at the debate and at previous appearances about turning the page on the past. And in fact, here today in Johnstown, you're talking about a new way forward. Yeah. I think some people have a question, given maybe your current role as Vice President of the United States, how different you are from Joe Biden. And so I wonder if there are one or two spots, policy areas or approaches where you would say, I'm a different person.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing and creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work.
She got that Ginsu out right now, feeding everybody a word salad, running back talking points out there. For instance, did I tell you that I told you something about the opportunity economy? Whatever that means. I told you about that. Well, let me tell you some more about it because I'm running out of information. I can't tell you how I'm different from Joe Biden, even though I'm using the same stupid response. Well, first of all, I'm not Joe Biden that I used during the debate. But I can't really tell you how I'm different because, see, both of us are Muppets and we don't really have good ideas or good policies. And the ones that we've implemented suck so bad that I can't come out and say, well, I totally disagree with everything that this administration has done when the whole time I've been out there telling people Bidenomics is working. But at the same time, I can't tell you that, well, you know what? Bidenomics is working, but it's not. Therefore, I'm going to do something totally different because Bidenomics is not working. So I'm caught in between. So now I got to give you a word salad to try to distract you from, wait a minute. Y'all said it's working. If it's working, why you got to change it up? How are you different than he is? And if everything is so great, you shouldn't even want to be so different than he is and all of his policies and all the results of his policies. You should just have it on cruise control and say, everything's working so well, let's just keep it going.
And maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore. For example, another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life, because that is obviously a very critical stage of development of a child. And a lot of young parents need the help to buy a car seat or a crib or clothes for their kids.
Word salad.
So my approach is about new ideas, new policies that are directed at the current moment. And also, to be very honest with you, my focus is very much in what we need to do over the next 10, 20 years to catch up to the 21st century around, again, capacity, but also challenges.
She is horrible off script. Horrible. Do you see that? She's all over the highway. And again, we have the capacity and this and that. And she's talking about parents and starting families and child tax credits and things like that. But I'm thinking, what about all the individuals who don't have families? What about the rest of us? You're just simply throwing out anything that just falls in your head and hoping it stick. And I'm going, that right there is not encouraging. I'm a little concerned about your vision for America.
When we talk about crime, the conversation turns to gun safety as well. And I think you actually probably caught a lot of people off guard, maybe a bit by surprise in the debate the other night when you mentioned that you are a gun owner. I know you said it in 2019 as well. I want to talk about your values on this issue. When it comes to gun ownership, where do you draw the line in America on gun ownership and gun use?
Well, like you said, Brian, I am a gun owner. And Jamal's, my running mate, is also a gun owner. We're not taking anybody's guns away. I support the Second Amendment, and I support reasonable gun safety laws. Part of my approach to this is I was a career prosecutor for most of my career. I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have personally looked at autopsies. I have personally seen what assault weapons do to the human body. And so I feel very strongly that it is consistent with the Second Amendment and your right to own a gun to also say we need an assault weapons ban. They're literally tools of war. They were literally designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly. I say we need universal background checks. The majority of NRA members support that. Why? Because it's just reasonable. You just might want to know before someone can buy a lethal weapon if they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others. You just might want to know.
First of all, we already have background checks. Okay. What else are you going to add to that when it comes down to background checks? Secondly, I want to know what kind of gun she owns. Oh, that one that shoots and it's a little black one and this and that. I doubt if she owns a gun. Thirdly, what is an assault weapon? See, this guy's asking her questions like that. What is your definition of an assault weapon? You said these guns, these assault weapons are designed to kill multiple people fast. Please tell me which ones exactly are you referring to? What about 9mm who have a high capacity or whatever and probably is a little more accurate and could take out a lot of people if you're in close quarters? What about that? That's what I'm wondering. What about that? What do you mean when you say assault weapons? Every gun. Can you show me a gun that's not an assault weapon? Yeah, to show me the difference between one gun that is, designed for assaulting people and the other one is just annoying people, poking fun at people, threatening people. They're all designed to be assault weapons. So she is playing on definitions and language and hoping that you don't catch it because every gun is an assault weapon, but she won't tell you that. And she's trying to make it seem to all the Midwest Americans who are concerned about the Democrats coming after our guns, trying to make herself seem relatable. Talking about, me, I'm a gun owner and this and that. We ain't coming after y'all guns yet. I don't trust her.
Two final questions, if I might. On the appeal of the man you were running against, as you drove here today, you likely saw a lot of Trump signs. He has an historic appeal in this country. And as you are someone running against him and trying to understand that, I wonder how you distill it. What do you understand his appeal to be? And how do you speak to his voters? Or maybe people who just share his values but are open to something else? By
calling them white nationalists, xenophobe, homophobes, and deplorables, and despicables, and all of those things, and saying they're a danger and a threat to America and the sovereignty. By doing that? But hey, I'm going to go ahead and let her answer and see, what she comes up with. Because, see, I can see the eyes up right now looking like, oh, God, what do I say to this one? Because, see, I've been spending so much time calling Trump an existential threat. I've been spending so much time talking about he's the greatest threat to the country and he's a danger to democracy. Now, how am I going to look in this camera and say, well, I guess my appeal to all of them is I'm not an existential threat. I'm not an insurrectionist, perhaps. But the man that they're voting for is?
Based on experience and a lived experience, no. In my heart, I know, in my soul, I know
fake?
That the vast majority of us as Americans have so much more in common than what separates us. And I also believe that I am accurate in knowing that most Americans want a leader who brings us together as Americans and not someone who professes to be a leader who is trying to have us point our fingers at each other.
I don't think that's Trump. I don't think Trump's always talking about race. I don't think that's Trump always saying, you know what? It's obvious that because he wants law and order and he wants a closed border, he's xenophobic, he's homophobic. I don't think it's Trump that's majoring in identity politics. Yeah. It's not Trump doing that. I don't think it's Trump that got up there and did a press conference with the devil background and had, Marines in the back talking about some, the greatest threat and all this Trump and this ultra MAGA and this MAGA. I don't think it's Trump doing that stuff. This comes straight out of the Democrats. So what you're experiencing right here is projection and trying to pretend that she's really the unifier when really she's the divider. The whole Democrat Party. But she is one of the major ones.
I think people are exhausted with that approach, to be honest with you. I think people want a leader who has common sense and tries to find common ground. I'm supported by over 200 Republicans who worked for both Presidents Bush, John McCain, and Mitt Romney. I'm supported by the former Vice President Dick Cheney, former Congress member Liz Cheney. And I think people are more willing now, in light of the hate and division that we see coming out of Donald Trump, to say, hey, let's put country first. And I think that just makes us stronger and more healthy as a country. To say, look, we can all debate our differences around, various policies, but let's stop with the division. Like, enough of that. Let's bring everybody together.
As she just said, the hate and division coming out of Donald Trump. So what she's really saying is all of you, millions and millions of Trump supporters, because see, I ride through Pennsylvania and all I see is Trump signs. What she's saying is all of you are okay with this hate and division. All of you are okay with this. You don't see it. Y'all aren't able to recognize it. And yet y'all are still voting for this divider. The fact that she brought up the hate and division that comes out of Donald Trump, that's an indictment against the folks who's voting for him. And we see that it's not hate and division coming out of him. So you're not going to win us over by saying the man that we support is pushing nothing but hate and division. Because then that says something about us, right? I mean, that means we're okay with the hate and division. And yet she's saying, that's how I'll reach out to him. And then she throws out some raggedy rhinos because I guess that's supposed to make us say, well, look at that. I guess the tides are turning. There's a lot of conservatives that are seeing the light. Maybe they're walking away from Trump and going to Kamala because she's bipartisan and she's a unifier. And I'm thinking the examples that you use, the people that you use, maybe you're not up on current events, but we don't like them. They suck. So using them only makes me feel like I made the right choice.
And finally, as you introduce yourself to America in a new way, they've heard much of your story at the Democratic National Convention and in that debate earlier this week. If there's one thing that you wish Americans knew about who Kamala Harris is that you don't think they know yet, what would that be? I'm
a chameleon. And I'll say pretty much anything, and I'll definitely get out here and deceive you guys. And I'm a puppet, and I was installed instead of earning anybody's votes. The fact, you know what? I became the vice president because I actually am a D to the E to the I hire. I don't even know how I got here. I was the first to drop out when it was me running for president. And then somehow I got a call saying that, hey, we're going to make you vice president. Then I became the vice president. And then all of a sudden we launched a coup and we got rid of Joe Biden. And look at me. Now I'm the leading candidate and I didn't earn one vote. Is that what she's going to say? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Well, let's go ahead and let her go ahead and close it out and tell us something about her.
I don't know. I mean, probably it's not very different from anybody watching right now. I love my family. One of my favorite things that I lately have not been able to do is Sunday family dinner. I love to cook. I have incredible friends. My best friend from kindergarten is still my best friend.
So cheesy.
I think that, I have a career that really, and I said it the other day, as a career prosecutor, I never asked a victim of crime, were they a Republican or a Democrat. The only thing I ever asked them is, are you okay? And I think that's the approach that most Americans want, regardless of who they voted for in the last election, in terms of turning the page and charting the way forward.
So what do you think? There you go. That's her off script doing, I guess, a interview with the local guy, which he really didn't press her either. He just allowed her to say whatever she wanted to say. And of course, that's exactly what she did. Vomited up another word salad without addressing the real questions or getting into any details. And she struggled to do that. Completely nervous, unsure, recycling talking points. And so it further shows that what took place the other day was a performance. when you hear her repeating the same thing. But she's been doing that on the whole campaign trail. All you got to do is line up each time she does a speech next to each other, and she just keeps saying the same stuff. She can't go off script. She has to be rehearsed. And when she is asked off the cuff, what she does is she's like, oh shoot, I don't know what to say outside of what they told me to say. Let me go back to that. I don't care if it don't apply to the question. I don't care if it doesn't address the question. I don't care if it seems completely far off the question. They told me say this and don't you deviate from it. Do you want somebody like that running the country? So now we got a chance, y'all, to see the real Kamala Harris. She's back, y'all. Yeah, man, I was wondering, like, wait a minute, what happened to Kamala Harris? That's not who we've been seeing for the last 4 or 5 years the other night. But now, this is the one we all know and love. So there you have it. Anyway, let me know what you think. God bless y'all. God bless America. We'll see y'all next time in Kevin's Corner. Take care.